And this is such a crazy story. Like what? I can just imagine, like, it's not rooted in anything. It's not rooted in, like, with the Book of Mormon or whatever. It's always like Jesus, or it's always like God or prophets. But this is really like bad science fiction being revealed and then incorporated into a quasi-religion, but really weird, really weird, bad science fiction, right?
It is, but here's why I said, let me explain a little bit about why I said that the Xenu part of this is the least important part, ultimately, of OT level 3, for Scientologists, okay? The big reveal when you get onto OT3, okay, let's remember also, by the way, that the very first people to do this were the most hardcore committed Scientologists, right? The guys who had taken Hubbard at his word, had joined the C Project and the C organization, and were signed up for life. I mean, they were committed. So these were the people who initially took this story on and said, oh, okay, and ran with it. The important part of OT3 is that the result of Xenu and his genocide was that all of these thetans, spiritual entities, were trapped here. And not only were they trapped here on Earth, but they were trapped in clusters. They had been knocked into a state where they were not really fully conscious anymore, and they were stuck together, like they were glued together to other thetans. It's a very strange concept because a thetan's not a physical thing, so don't ask me to explain that part of it. This is all sort of symbolic, I guess. Hubbard doesn't really draw lines between, that kind of stuff. You just kind of have to take it as he talks about it. So that's the only way I can describe it. It doesn't make logical sense. This was one of my problems when I actually read it for the first time. I went, this doesn't make any damn sense. But for Scientologists, you can make anything make sense. That's the miracle of the human mind. So in a Scientology context, the important part of this whole narrative was the result of this, which is that all these thetans got screwed over hardcore because all their bodies were completely dissolved and just disintegrated in these nuclear hellfires. And they were trapped by electronic fields to be stuck here on this piss-poor planet at the edge of the universe where nothing's happening. And they were just stuck here. And they were knocked into a state of near unconsciousness. And for a thetan to go unconscious, he's going to be out of it for quite a while, right? Millions of years even. So the people who habitate bodies on this planet are the poor souls who survived that whole thing. And they're pretty screwed up. They're so screwed up that they're not even up to being able to habit a body because they're in a near unconscious, dead kind of state. And they're clustered together in these groups. So the people that you see in your day-to-day existence are actually the ones who've managed to kind of come out of that enough to be able to run a body. And they have all these other thetans stuck to them. And so what you do when you actually audit OT3 and all the remaining OT levels, I might add, because this just carries on, is you telepathically contact every one of these thetans that are stuck to you one at a time, and you wake them up and you get them to realize that where they are and what the condition that they're in is, and you get to release them. You free them from this enmeshed, enslaved kind of condition that they've been in for millions and millions of years. They've been stuck to you. So you're freeing them.
And I just have to say, you may be floored at this, or maybe you and Jonathan Streeter have already discussed it. But Court of Mormon theology is this idea that prior to us coming to heaven as spirits incorporating a physical body, we were all spirits in heaven before, in a pre-existence. And there were even way more than have come to earth. And because of some bad decisions by about a third of those spirits, they were cast out of the plan and left to come to this earth as followers of Satan and incorporate our bodies and tempt us and get us to do bad things. And so even though that's a totally separate sort of, science fiction narrative, this basic framework of like, why do we do bad things as a person? Why is there mental illness? Why are we sometimes not even able to control our behavior? Why is there evil in the world? The sort of doctrinal device of creating some sort of external spirit or entity that is the main cause of the sin or of the bad behavior is very much a parallel, even though there's different names and structures. But what it really gets to is kind of like trying to satisfy questions and concerns around the human condition. Why am I sad? Why is there pain? Why is there suffering? Why do I keep doing bad things? Oh, let's project it onto these extraterrestrial spiritual forces. And let's offer ourselves up as an organization. Most importantly, give us money. We'll provide the cure to these supernatural forces that are controlling you and hurting you.
And I am nodding vigorously because you are nailing it. Everything you just said is exactly what OT3 is for Scientologists. It explains voices in your head. It explains bizarre behavior, because these thetans that are stuck to you, some of them wake up from time to time and look around and go, what? And that's the voices you hear in your head. You see, that's the reason you have impulses you can't explain that you would never do, and yet you find yourself doing. And this is why Hubbard went so far. He oversold this so much that he said that this is the reason we have war. This is the reason we have criminality. This is the reason we have all the problems that we have on this planet. It is this incident that caused all of it. And so Scientologists who get to this level, and I have to stress that literally no more than 5% of Scientologists make it this high. Most people kick off or don't make it before they get to this level. So only 5% of the Scientologists that you're ever going to run into are even going to have ever heard the word Xenu, and they will never talk about it publicly for all the reasons we've already said. So they'll never acknowledge the truth of this. But when you get to that level, this is the answers. These are the answers you're supposed to be getting. And Scientologists are primed to expect that. They're not told what the specifics of the Xenu story are, but they are told that OT3 is the ultimate level. It will change everything about your view of life and other people. You will have more empathy for other people. You will have more compassion for other people, because you will understand them in a way you have never been able to understand them before.